Welcome, everybody, to Dan Excelsior, the mostly Marvel podcast. Emphasis on the mostly. I'm yours, Ricky. With me, as always, is Dennis.
I swear I'm not scripted.
He's not scripted. He's not AI. This is episode 168, where we're talking Thor
And a bunch of other stuff. But yeah,
and a bunch of other stuff. But we'll be talking about Thor at the end of it.
Yeah, and we are going to leave you room for the news this time around. All right. Because
there's only like 2 pieces of news this week.
We're going to talk about the news for a while. All right. I'm just making that clear. Very clear. Yeah. What have you been nerding out on this week?
Severance, the thing you've not been nerding out on.
That's true.
That show is great. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Then don't. You don't. I can just say what you've been nerding out on without
they
spoiling things. I don't know why you always feel the need to go beyond saying what you nerd out on. You always like want to give more. You're like you want to tell me what they're doing on that show, and I'm like, why? Why you do that?
I don't know how you consider everything a spoiler, so it makes us something.
I think the fact that you want to tell me stuff that's happening on that show is indicative enough that you want to spoil things for me.
I'll say this:
you don't have to say it.
They show. They kind of start leaning into what race means at
okay, cool,
and the implications of that, in a really neat, disturbing way.
Okay,
sorry for spoiling racism for you.
I don't think you're spoiling racism. I think you just can't help yourself. You want to tell me about it.
You're just such a spoiler prude. Like any hint of it, it's just like
I don't know why you just can't say I'm loving watching that show right now. And that's
because we gotta fill time.
You don't have to fill time. I promise you.
58 more minutes of this. We gotta talk.
Just to be clear, in addition to Thor, this is a heavy week. We probably didn't even need to do Thor this week. In addition to Thor, I can talk about Harley Quinn. I can talk about Invincible.
We'll talk about those 2 things without spoilers.
We're obviously also going to talk about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man because 3 new episodes dropped this week, right? So this is technically the most superhero content we've ever done, or dared to talk about in one episode. In addition to, we're obviously spoiling the news slightly. There was a trailer that came out this week. We're going to talk about that too. So I'm just saying, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So we don't have to fill time. We can just say, I nerded out on this and it was great and I'm moving on. I
guarantee you're not going to say that about Harley Quinn.
Well, no, because I just promised our audience we'd talk about Harley Quinn. It's not my fault.
You asked me what I was watching. I was telling you what
I know. That's what I asked you, and you gave me the answer. And then you're like, I'm gonna go above and beyond and start telling him about it. Just so you know, I've been nerding out on Dexter. I know. I finally decided to watch it. I've never watched it.
Have you not seen it before?
I watched the first episode when it originally came out, and I didn't like it back then. I was a bit more of a prude about like my heroes killing people and stuff, and just I couldn't get behind that. But like, we live in the world of Luigi now. Things are very different. You know what I mean? Like,
how have Dexter been spoiled for you?
No.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I came into I've only seen like 1 season of Dexter, and my first episode was the last episode of I think like season 6 or season 7, where like a huge spoiler happens.
Okay.
So my relationship to that show has always been weird. I'm also just weirded out that they were just like he was dating his sister, like in real life.
Oh,
Michael C. Hall,
the actor was dating her.
Yeah.
That's funny.
The character who was his sister on the show, and so I was like, that's a little weird.
I mean, they've got good chemistry. I mean, like, yeah, I feel yeah, because like I was always really weirded out that like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, the next thing they were in after Avengers: Age of Ultron was Godzilla, right? And
Godzilla was second, but yes. Or sorry, Godzilla was first.
oh, you're right, it was first. Yeah. Well, they appeared as Quicksilver and
Well, yes, they're post credits.
they're in the
Technically,
post credits, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But then they're like full on like married in Godzilla, and I was like, gross. That's your brother.
I mean, she's not in it that much, but yes.
Yeah, but I that's a weird non-spoiler that I will not let impact the show for me. But yeah, no, I finished the season of it. Lindsay and I watched it this past week, and yeah, we enjoyed it. It's the characters are really unique. There's a lot of flawed human beings in it, and it makes it kind of interesting. And yeah, I like it. It's cool. I'm gonna keep going, and I'll definitely let Lindsay know that those two were hooking up outside of the show, and that's kind of weird, but whatever. But that's what I've been nerding out on, aside from the multitude of things that I had to binge today, just because like it's like, damn guys, why do we pack it on Thursdays? I don't understand why has everything got to drop on Thursday? It's weird. Do you want to do a movie next week, or do we want to just talk Invincible, Spider-Man? And
what are you talking about? We're doing an MCU movie next week.
Oh, well, I'm seeing on Friday. So
we talk about it Saturday.
What
time are you seeing it Friday? Welcome to the live notes.
Yeah, no. This is okay. This is it's my Valentine's date. Is that movie?
You didn't plan for the Thursday night showing?
No, I intentionally planned for Valentine's. I wanted to see. I got to plan the movie, and she got to plan the dinner, and we're that's what we're doing. That's our Valentine. I don't have time on Thursdays to go to the movies during the afternoon. I have things scheduled before the show. Like
in the evening.
No, I just said that. I have things.
You said afternoon.
I have stuff scheduled from 2:00 till 6:00 on Thursdays.
Guarantee there's a 7:00 showing.
You do know we do this show at 8:00, right?
Yeah, we could do it later.
I have to eat dinner also.
Yeah, you do it while you're watching the movie.
But also, there were no 4DX shows on Thursday, and I will
be seeing it in 4DX. So
I was insistent at my theater. I needed to see that movie in 4DX. But I am down to do the show on a different date with you if you'd like to do it. But I was not planning on doing the Falcon and I guess it's Captain America and Falcon.
That's dismissive.
There is a Falcon in the movie. There's a full-on new Falcon. Spoilers. Captain America and Red Hulk and Falcon.
You're one of those Sam Wilson Captain America people, aren't you?
Sure. I mean, he's not my Captain America.
God, don't.
I did that. No, I love Sam Wilson. I think he's great. I think Anthony Mackie is awesome, and I'm super excited to watch that movie. I like, can you blame me? Like, he's been the Falcon for like the better part of a decade.
He's been a good Falcon.
He's been a really good Falcon.
Been a good Falcon.
Let's be real. Like, Captain America Winter Soldier is one of the best MCU movies ever. I can't wait till we get to that one. And he's one of the reasons. There's like every single person in that movie makes that movie awesome. Frank Grillo is awesome, as a Crossbones, right? Like, he's not actually Crossbones.
Rewatched bits of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, specifically like stuff around Isaiah, like a lot of his scenes. man, that
I
I applaud them for going there.
I rewatched the
They
scene, his speech at the end of the
it's
show.
great. And
That speech is amazing, you know. So
um
like I do believe he's a great Captain America. I really do. I just
it's
I'm not.
earned. I guess it's earned is a better way to put it
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I
it's
just forgive me for still wanting to call him Falcon because you know I
well,
think
like they say in the show, he's Black Falcon.
I think the weird part for me is that like, and it's the same in the comics too. Like he became Captain America, but he's like, but I really like the wings, so I'm not gonna, you know. I think that's what it is, right? He's still flying around with the wings, like,
Yeah.
it's and we can talk about this later in the show when we're talking about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But like, there are some new suits in that show, and they actually have origins from the comics. And the whole
Mhm.
point of them was Peter was trying to reinvent himself as a different hero, and so he intentionally made suits that downplayed the Spider Man parts of himself. Do you know what I mean? So like I just think it's funny that Falcon's like, I'm gonna be Captain America now. By the way, I'm still Falcon. You know, like I think that's why it's always made it hard for me to like all the trailers are just him flying around all over the place with awesome wings, you know, like
It's a mantle, right? It's a mantle. He's any has anyone else well, I guess Bucky's been Captain America, but he kept a
yeah,
captain.
I guess what? He didn't like I mean he has a metal arm, but like he can't
You can't
that's his
see
arm.
it.
Yeah, you can't see it though. You can't see it, you know, like Bucky just looks like a Captain America. Yeah, I think that's the difference. Is Sam's got this whole extra prosthesis that he brings along to the whole party, and it makes it confusing because it's like, what's your deal? You know, it's like an amalgam of multiple characters. So it's not a bad thing. He really liked his work laptop from his previous job, so he brought it over to the new job. You know what I mean?
I
That's
mean,
how
if
it
the
works.
Wakandans give you a present, it would be rude
Yeah,
not to wear it.
yeah, I'm not mad at him for doing that. I'm just giving you all the non-racist reasons why I sometimes still call him the Falcon. You know what I mean? That's it. That's all. I'm really not trying to like dog whistle, I promise. That's not what I'm trying to do. We
Can't
already
wait.
we
I
yelled at those
can't
people.
wait for next week.
I'm excited. I will say I'm way more excited for Daredevil in 2 weeks after or 3 weeks
Yeah,
after. Yeah.
my curiosity. Well, we're gonna see somewhat of an externals or external Eternals follow up with this movie, which I'm curious on. That was
I
a really
didn't
big.
I didn't know that. But okay.
They're flying around Tiamat. You didn't. They're flying around the thing
I didn't see that.
in the trailer.
No, I didn't
Like the
notice.
whole point. It's like the first trailer. They say that.
I didn't see that.
You did not watch. Oh
I
my god.
watched the trailer. I watched the trailer. I remember is when like Isaiah. Is it Isaiah? No. Uh, who's the first Captain
They're
America?
literally talking about getting the
He.
adamantium from Tiamat.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh well.
I don't care. Whatever.
uh,
It's like I'm gonna watch it in a week. So I don't know why we're
Yeah,
talking about
no,
the plot of it right now.
I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm telling you what I'm excited to see.
You're excited to see adamantium,
Yeah, that's cool. That's a big thing.
and then hopefully 2 weeks later, they're like, "Hey, Bullseye, we've got some metal for you." Yeah. I've never understood how Bullseye rocks an adamantium skeleton when they go to great lengths in the comics and the movies to explain that only Wolverine can combat the poisoning. Only his specific, you know, body can combat the adamantium poisoning of
Bullseye
a
doesn't know that.
skeleton.
Like for all we know, Bullseye dies like the next page
Well, he doesn't die the next page,
from
right? He
just
doesn't die the
poisoning.
next page. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm trying to think of. I think we got over the what
Well,
we've
just
been nerding out on.
talk about your Harley Quinn for like 2 seconds because I know you want to get that off your chest.
All right, I told you they cliffhangered last week with Brainiac.
These are
Uh,
spoilers.
Yeah, it is spoilers. They cliffhangered last week with a Brainiac introduction or reveal because he kidnapped them, brought him on his ship. This show takes a little detour this week's episode, and it's called Breaking Brainiac, and it's meant to be like the Breaking Bad kind of origin of Brainiac, and they just spend like 15 minutes of that episode just going through this hilarious, like, and kind of tragic, like, story of a man or an android, or sorry, an AI who's got a AI wife and an AI kid, and they have the suburban life and they do AI things. It's really weird. And then he has to go off on a job to go collect a special item from another planet, and he takes off in his giant skull ship. And when he comes back, his entire planet's dead. And then he goes pretty evil after that. And it's just weird and dark and hilarious, and then he encounters Krypton and he captures the Bottle City, and like, so they're weaving, like, elements of the story that we know, but also into like this weird Harley Quinn style flavor of a comedic dark comedy kind of story. And then it finally wraps up with going back to Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy for like a minute at the end. But it was really weird because, like, it's a show, you primarily, when we're watching Harley Quinn, we expect to have Harley Quinn carrying the show. And yeah, this actor who was playing Brainiac was like the main character of the entire episode. And I didn't expect that. And so I think it's interesting that this show is daring to take big swings like that in its fourth season, where it's already like, I don't think we're the only ones that are like criticizing the show for kind of like falling flat at this point, right? Like, we can't be the only ones that are kind of like falling off on Harley Quinn. But I applaud them for trying something different. Was it a great episode? No, but it was really cool to have an entire Brainiac episode, like a focused episode, without Superman in it. It was strange.
Is he a Superman villain?
Yes.
Okay.
He's a Superman.
I always thought he looked cool, but I never really cared to look into Brainiac past that.
Yeah, there's like multiple versions of him, but he's like the more powerful Ultron. How about that? Like, he's like alien Ultron, but like way crazier. Yeah, similar ideas though. Like, he seeks the perfection of like stealing the perfection of planets and eradicating everything else that he doesn't consider worthy of preserving. This kind of thing. Yeah. So that was that. And then I watched Invincible also. I just watched the first episode. Amazon dropped 3 episodes today.
Good.
And I was like, I ain't got time for 3, especially when they drop this freaking annoying commercials in the middle of it, and you can't do anything about it unless you want to pay them more money. It was cool. I won't spoil that one for now because I don't think a lot of people are watching Harley Quinn, so I don't think it's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, but Invincible, I know there's fans out there, and take your time. It just dropped today. It is really cool. It gives you a big recap of all the crazy murders that have happened in the show previously, and where the season ended, and it kind of just picks up like a few months later, and Mark is back at it, and all the characters you love are there.
It's Aaron Paul this season, right? He's voicing the bad guy.
If Aaron Paul is the bad guy of this season, I don't think he's in the first episode.
Okay.
I don't think that's a spoiler. I could be wrong, and I just didn't even notice him, but like, the bad guy in the first episode is a character that we've already met in a previous season. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that, it's not to say that there won't be other bad guys. I'm just saying.
I know Simu's in the season 2.
He shows up in the first episode. Yeah,
okay.
That's true. Simu does show up. But it was cool. It was fun.
Show up.
It was fun to get Invincible back again. We go so long between seasons of that show. You know what I mean? Like, it feels. Well,
they promise it's not going to happen again, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. As long as they promised us, then I'm happy about it.
All right.
I'm checking. I'm
Anything else
checking
you want to talk about?
Geez, man. Oh yeah, it's so early. Like the IMDb doesn't even have like the information for the new episodes that dropped today, so I can't even look up if I can't easily look up if Aaron Paul was in it, but I don't think he was. I could be wrong. No, I got nothing else. You want to do the news?
Let's do it.
Okay.
This past Tuesday on February 4th, F4 day, we got our first look at Fantastic Four First Steps. We had about a minute and a half long trailer and gave us really our first look at the team and a pretty look at Galactus.
Was it a good look at Galactus?
I mean, I've seen his face, but
okay. I just want to get this out of the way. I'm not trying to be salty about this trailer. I did like it a lot. It's really cool. I just like, I know comparison is like, is the killer of joy for sure. I just can't help myself. I always compare things to other things. You asked me a month ago, like, which movie am I more excited for this year, Superman or Fantastic Four? We do it all the time. We just compare, I can't help but compare that trailer to the Superman trailer we got a few weeks ago. And I had an emotional reaction to the Superman trailer. I didn't have one to the Fantastic Four. And I think the real reason is not in any way knocking the trailer itself. The trailer did nothing to wow me. And it did nothing other than remind me that this is the second reboot of the Fantastic Four we've gotten. And it's kind of weird because, like, based on their track record in the previous movies, it doesn't feel like they deserve it. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we're on our second reboot of a Spider-Man. Like,
I know that's weird, right? That considering the box office success of Spider-Man, we've had the same number of reboots of Fantastic Four, and one has done way better in box office than the other. But it almost feels like it has to be. We have to get them. They have to be done. They have to be provided to us because they're part of a bigger puzzle. I get it. I'm not saying there aren't people that don't want a Fantastic Four. I'm saying that this one didn't bring me anything new yet. You know what I mean? Like, other than the back of Galactus's head, which in my opinion at this point is just like a mea culpa for the crap we got at the end of the original Fantastic Four movie, which was garbage. You know what I mean?
I think you're undervaluing the Thing. I think
he looks great.
I don't think he looks great.
I don't think he looks that much better than Michael Chiklis.
You're
but
fucking
he looks great.
crazy. You're insane. You're insane.
No, I don't.
Michael Chiklis looked weird. He always looked weird.
All things look weird. All things look weird.
But he didn't look like the Thing. This
he
Thing
did look
looks
like
the Thing.
He did look like the Thing. He looked like versions of the Thing that have been in the comics for sure. This one looks like other versions that have been in the comics. He looks more like the one that most people are familiar with, but I think both of them look like the Thing when I see them. I also think that Michael Chiklis sounds more like the Thing that I'm used to.
I think that's where I'm going to knock you on. I'm open.
You just knocked me on the other thing, so you can't knock me on another thing and say that's where I'm going to knock
like, Ebon's a good actor. He has a very distinct voice.
I'm not saying he's not a good actor.
I like that they're giving him dialogue. He's a New Yorker, but he's not I'm walking here, it's clobbering time. He's not doing that card. And I know historically that's what the Thing is.
That's not what I'm talking about, dude. I'm talking about the gravelly voice.
I don't need him. I think he sounds fine. He has the right amount of gravel.
He has no gravel. He has zero gravel.
Right amount of gravel.
Zero gravel. I have a hard time believing that his biology on the inside didn't changed dramatically
You
when
don't
the
know that.
outside changed. Yeah, I do, because I've read the comics, Ricky.
You don't know that.
That all of their biologies change, all of them, like from within and outside. So like I always kind of
It's a
use
different
that.
universe, bro.
I always use that. They're multiversal characters. I've always used that as a justification for the voices that they've chosen all the time in the different iterations of it. And I just wasn't, I'm not saying I'm mad at the version we got. I'm just saying I wasn't wowed. You know, like I think he looks cool. I think he looks fine. But I wasn't wowed.
Finger.
What?
He's got 4 fingers.
So Michael Chiklis had 4 fingers.
He had 5 fingers.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
What about the other one?
I think the other one also had 5, yeah.
Really?
I like the trailer. I think I like this trailer more. I'm just generally my Fantastic Four stock is higher than Superman stock.
You like this trailer more than what? More than what?
Than the Superman trailer.
The
you gotta remember. I like
Chiklis
the
had
Fantastic
4
Four.
Michael Chiklis had 4 fingers.
It
You're
didn't look
you're
as
just
good.
throwing out stuff and making it sound like fact, even if it's not. You're crazy. You're just straight up trying to gaslight me. You just gaslit me.
Superman. In my lifetime, there has not been a
gloss over that. Hey, audience, be sure you point out the gaslighting taking place.
I
here,
am.
Okay.
Because you're crazy.
Cool. I'm looking at a picture of him with 4 fingers.
Yeah, I don't think we care about Superman enough. Like, I think that's ultimately it.
We? What do you mean we?
I don't think I care about Superman as much as you. Yeah, to me, he's if he has everything, he's not interesting, and I know there's good Superman stories. I know you love the Superman and Lois story recently from the show, but I am just more hyped with the Fantastic Four right now. I like the direction. I like the music. They had some cool ass music in that trailer.
Yeah, the music's cool.
I've been preaching for a long time on the show that I want a Fantastic Four movie set in the 60s. And I know this is not really the 60s, but I mean, it's kind of checking off a lot of boxes for me.
Okay. Yeah, like it's checking off the expected boxes for me, and I what I want is to see something unexpected. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to see anything in that trailer to get me a little bit more hyped than seeing just
John Malkovich Red Ghost didn't get you a little more hyped?
It would have if I got to see him do Red Ghost stuff.
Well, that's for trailer 2.
That's just John Malkovich. Until he does Red Ghost stuff, he's just John Malkovich. Yeah, that's all he was. It was John Malkovich. All right, like that's what I'm saying.
You say that about every other character in that Greenlight or in that Superman trailer.
No, because I saw Sue do Invisible Woman stuff, and I didn't see Reed do a damn thing in that trailer.
That's the money shot. No, they're definitely saving that one.
Look, I'm just saying, like, they chose to show Superman saving a kid in the super epic way, and that's how you get me on board. The Fantastic Four, they're just hanging out. They're just hanging out. We don't even get to see them
so much ass.
No, I'm saying it's not.
There's a shot.
It's not as impressive of a trailer for me. A teaser for me.
There's a shot in the trailer when Johnny flies off a balcony, and he does the flame thing, where
it looks good.
As soon as he does it, the lens on the camera that they do reacts to the flames as if they're there. It's a totally digital effect, but they're trying to mimic a film effect. But that little extra detail of care in that frame tells me everything I need to know about the love that they're putting in this movie.
Oh my goodness.
Everything I need to know.
You always do this. You always glom onto the weirdest detail that does not end up paying off in the way you want.
It's not bullshit. No.
No. Oh, so we're talking about bullshit now?
Because I'm saying for a person who edits photos as a profession, there's details that you put into your photos that no one's not going to notice unless they look for them.
Right. That's not what I'm saying, though. I'm saying that just because that detail's in there doesn't mean the whole thing is going to be the chef's kiss that you want it to be. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's cool that you like that detail, but I need to see more before I'm actually excited for this movie.
When you see a chef making sushi and you see him wash his hands before he starts making it, you're gonna feel a little better if you don't see him do that.
Wait, what?
I'm saying I'm seeing bits of love that I had not yet to see in
You're
the
saying
trailer.
I'd feel better not seeing the chef wash his hands before making
You
my
would feel
sushi?
better if you did.
If I didn't or did see him?
Did see him.
Yeah, sure.
So you know he loves what he's doing.
What you're saying is I saw the Human Torch be the Human Torch.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And the heat impacted the camera lens. Okay.
They're
Like,
creating
also,
an effect that
I thought Invisible Woman's effects were way cooler. I thought hers were the only.
I'm not
cool
talking about like
effects.
special effects like on the character. I'm talking about a specific.
No,
there's
but
a
I'm
way
saying hers were the way they were portraying it on the screen. Like,
Yeah,
it was
like
it
the
was light.
refraction's
It
really
was
cool.
light. Yeah, light being bent and everything like that. I think that was a really cool effect. For me, that was the coolest effect in the whole trailer. Was her. You know, I'm not salty, but you're making it sound like I am because you're making me defend the Superman trailer when there was just more emotion in that trailer. There was just more emotional beats. There was more things that we've never seen in the DCU, or you know what I mean? Like there's like there's a Green Lantern in there. Like there's
Technically,
some.
you've never seen anything in the DCU up until Creature Commandos.
I said DCEU. That's what I said.
But,
I said EU. Do you know what I mean? Like we saw a lot of cool things in that Superman trailer. And this one, I just felt like we're seeing, here's the new Fantastic Four characters. Here's all 4 of them. And then, you know, I kind of feel bad about that whole Galactus thing. So here's the back of his head. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying you saw the Comic-Con trailer, so I'm sure you're hyped more, but you got to give it at face value what the rest of the world saw this week. Is it really that much? Did we really? Where's Human Torch? Where's Paul Walter Hauser? Whatever choice.
There's like
Well,
3
I
shots.
I didn't mean Human Torch. I meant Silver Surfer is what I meant to say. Silver Surfer is what I meant to say. Where's Doctor Doom? Do you know what I mean? Like anything to give
away the whole. It's trailer 1. You can't.
Can I remind you all the things that Superman showed us in that first teaser? So many things. So many. And they didn't even give away everything. But they wanted you to know that you're going to get a substantial meal with that movie. Fantastic Four, I feel like right now it's an appetizer. And it's a tease to things to come later, like next year or something like that. But like I'm trying to understand that teaser. I know it's just a teaser, and I know a million comments are gonna roast me and be like, it's a teaser, bro. But I'm just saying, comparatively, we got a lot more emotion and weight with that Superman trailer than I did with this one.
Because
was the music on fire?
Heartstrings with that old ass music they were repurposing.
It's not. No, I'm saying Fantasy Four wins on the music. That's what I'm saying. Like that, the music was the thing that easily beat the Superman trailer. Because I wasn't. The music was not my thing for Superman. Whatever. But yeah, do I like the way the thing looks? Yeah, he looks cool. I think that Fan Four Stick is the worst thing of the 3 of them, unless you count the super original unreleased version. But I don't think that this one is leaps and bounds above the Chickless one. And I know that a lot of people, in the same way that you love Phantom Menace, a lot of people grew up with Chickless, you know what I mean? And like they have a bond. And I think
I was the same age for both those movies.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Chickless is bad, but it's very clearly that suit and that design was the limitation of the times.
Yeah, but it's also sometimes it's a benefit, right? Like practical practical effects just look better in certain ways, like because
I would also
they're
argue
really
that
there.
Cheekless did like weird code switching. He is a different character when he's the Thing and when he's Ben Crib.
That's fair.
In term, not just voice, but like the way he communicates is very different.
That's fair. A little bit. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, the
What other
last bit
news
of
we got?
news. Last bit of news. Your favorite person, your
Uh-oh.
lone cameo shout out. Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld will no longer work with Marvel after incidents at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. So long story
Whoa.
short, Rob was trying to get creator credit on the film in terms of created by or Deadpool created by Rob Liefeld. And that did not happen. And as he goes on at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere, he wasn't invited to anything other than the premiere, so no after party. Did not get a hello from Feige or anything, and basically all that culminated for him just to be like, "I'm done with Marvel."
I don't blame him.
The hot button take aside, I think his sentiment is, we've talked about this many times before on the show, of like,
Marvel does not give creators a lot of credit. They don't. And sometimes they just get a check for like $4,000 as like a thanks, and that's it. And that's rough, man. Because yeah, Rob Liefeld was one of the creators of Deadpool, and
I will say I will give kudos to Rob, where he's definitely at a position in his career where he could do something like this and be that voice without, Rob's fine.
Yeah.
Rob doesn't need the Marvel money.
Yeah.
But other creators who've created your other favorite MCU characters might not. So if someone's speaking up for that, sure, let it be Rob.
Yeah, I mean the difference between Rob and a lot of the current creators that that are at Marvel is Rob was lucky enough to exist in a time where the artists had a lot of power. They had too much power from Marvel's perspective, and they realized how much power they had, and they all packed up and left because they weren't getting the respect they deserved, right? And so they formed Image Comics, and because of that, like, they were emboldened to go on to pursue their own interests, create their own companies. I mean, we got McFarlane Toys exists because of Image Comics. You know what I mean? Jim Lee is the president of DC Comics because of Image Comics. You know what I mean? Like, those guys that pioneered, like, going out and not all of them are huge, global successes, but like most of them did pretty good for themselves because they dared to take that risk. But after they did that, the industry changed, and there was a shift at that time into like, we should put more focus on the writers, because the writers, we can control them a little bit more. They're not going to like jump ship as often. And so, I think contracts got renegotiated, rearranged and stuff. And ever since that time, the artists never get to be the superstars that they were back then, And so, yeah, I do appreciate what you're saying, is that he has the benefit of being in a financial position where he can say, F Marvel, I don't need their money.
He
But
got us the movies.
but a lot of creators just can't do that, and it's frustrating because like that's the industry that it is. So I will say, as much as I hate on Rob Liefeld, I respect the man for taking stances like that. That's pretty cool. Cool stuff. Yeah.
Cool stuff indeed. That's all my news for this week.
Okay, cool. I mean, did you have anything to add to that? Like, what do you think?
I'm with you. I mean, if you're in that position of power and you feel sliding that way, and you have that that voice. Like, you should be, he should. I don't walk away from this, or I don't see Rob as the villain in this story. Even though I think some of the things he's complaining about, like, oh, I didn't get invited to the after party, stuff like that, it might be trivial,
Yeah.
but he's talking about it, and the more people that talk about it, the the more the more likely change is going to happen. And I don't look, at the end of the day, you're hired to do a job, right? If you want to, in the comic world, if you want to make it big, you got to pay your dividends in a way or sense. So, like, you get to draw Spider-Man, but that doesn't mean you get to, like, you don't get to keep
Spider-Man.
him. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
get to own
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and
that's
that's
what I'm
just the name of the
saying.
game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Marvel was like, ooh, I think there was some miscommunication here, guys. Like, you don't own these characters.
You're just a contractor.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, that is the nature of the relationship.
But that's not to say that there could be a more respectful way to acknowledge their contribution.
Yes.
In the long run, whether it be financially or even in Rob's case, I mean, fuck it, like, give him a title card, right? Didn't Superman, the first Superman movie, have like a big ass card with the creators on it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like, like, what do they cost you these days? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like,
it almost cost
in my experience,
it almost cost DC a lot, actually, because those guys sued DC later for ownership. And again, I'm not trying to defend Marvel or DC. I promise you, even though it's
in most of these cases, it's almost not about the compensation. It's usually about the recognition.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
people just want to be honored for the contribution to legacy, to this legacy that is, that will be around way beyond them. Yeah. And I think it's a fair request. Like, they just want their names to be remembered, and it's sad how much creators get buried in under their contracts and stuff like that. So yeah, cool. All right, are you ready?
Talking Spider-Man?
Yeah, we can talk your friendly neighbor Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't need to take a lot of time on this one, but if you have questions, well,
give me like that. So we got 3 episodes this week. Are we are your vibes a net positive or a net negative?
I think they're maybe net negative, like a little bit, only that, like, where the first 2 ended, there was a lot of promise for, like, wow, we can do a lot. And I think the reason they gave us 3 episodes this week is because not a lot really happened in 3 episodes, you know what I mean? And so they felt they needed to give us those 3, because if they only gave us 2, we'd be pretty salty. I think the first 2 episodes probably could have been 1 episode of this week. You know what I mean?
The last 2 could have been 1.
Maybe, like,
yeah, whatever, to your point.
The 3 episodes could have been 2, is the point.
Yes,
we're agreeing on that, right? Like, so that's the only reason I say net negative. You phrased it as a net positive or negative. Like, I have to be honest, like, did I still like it? Yeah, I liked it. I was a little bummed that, like, the mystery last week, that we're like, whoa, this whole Lonnie as the protagonist thing, that's interesting. I'm kind of interested to see, like, how they go about making him Tombstone, and like that. I don't know, it just kind of felt fast, right? Like,
it happened a little too fast.
It happened a little too fast, and I was just like, oh, I thought we were gonna draw this out. I was really excited about, like, it being a slow play kind of thing, and it's like, nah, he's they calling him Tombstone now already.
Is it weird that he's not, like, albino? Is that, like, a weird representation slight?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's it's a weird flex to have because I mean, albinism is like
Hey,
a very small
you
percentage of the
heard Trump,
population.
DEI is out, so
It's a very small percentage of the population, and so like it's kind of awkward when a character is written to be an albino, and they're not even recasting, right? They're drawing him to not be an albino.
yeah.
That's a deliberate choice. Like that's like okay, so you know we'll see. But yeah, I think the Norman Osborn as the 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 guy in the chair kind of thing for the first episode of or episode 3 was kind of cool. I like him. He's fun. It's obviously not a good thing for Spider-Man to have completely blown his cover already. This will bite him in the ass. But I thought it was cute that Norman was trying out all these different costumes for him in the second in episode 4. Was it? It was right. Episode
Mhm.
4. We got 3 episodes that are from, or I mean, 3 costumes that are from an older Spider-Man story. I'm trying to remember. It's like from like the late
But those aren't
90s.
his costumes, they're like other villains he just fights, right?
No, those are his costumes.
Oh.
Those I was mentioning that earlier in the show. There's a storyline where Spider-Man gets framed for murder, and he can't go out. He can't go fighting crime as Spider-Man. And so Peter Parker just refuses, because with great power comes great responsibility. He refuses to let his power go to waste. So he designs 4 new costumes or 4 new identities, and with each teched out with their own like powers and stuff like that. And so he goes out and tries to be 4 different superheroes, and each one is kind of a bust for him, right? So it's like Ricochet, Prodigy, Dusk, and uh what was the other one? Ricochet, Prodigy, Dusk, and it'll come back to me in a second. But yeah, they're just different things. But then you learn like a few months later that Marvel just wanted to create new characters in this universe. Like so once he clears his name, he like goes and gives these costumes to like 4 teenagers who want to be superheroes. And I'm like, that seems really irresponsible. And so like they become, new characters in the comics. And they're called the Slingers. That's their tie that binds and stuff like that. So it was cute that we got 3 of them in the show, and then the 4th suit was like a slight alteration of the Future Foundation costume. It looks cool. I still like it's weird to me the lengths we go to not let him just wear the damn costume. You know what I mean? Like it's
That's what you're looking at, a whole Marvel Legends collection right there. That's what you're
yeah.
getting. Yeah, I mean, he'll get
Yay.
it. Spoilers, he's gonna get the classic suit by the end of it.
I know you will. It's just but it was cute watching him just completely crash and burn with each of those.
He is growing on me. I really do like him as Spider-Man. I like the voice, I like the tone, I like the quips. He talks
Hornet was the other
Hornet.
one. Yeah.
He talks the appropriate amount of shit while he's fighting. I also am enjoying the MCU parallels that they're doing. I think that's a really neat way to like
Civil War would still happen with or without Spider-Man, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
like for newer Spider-Man fans, right? I think it's a good way of like checkpointing where he's at in his life. Kind of.
Yeah. It's saying, hey, we're in 2014 right now.
Like even like I like we had like a chameleon, right? In like the last 2 episodes.
We had Rhino, Chameleon, and Unicorn.
Yeah. The chameleon in the cartoon looks like the chameleon,
like Dimitri from
from No Way Home.
Or No Way Home. Yeah, sorry.
Or
Far From Home. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like the Dimitri from that.
That's cool.
I thought that was cool.
Scorpion's kind of like MCU Scorpion a little bit.
Yeah, he looks like Matt Gargan. I think Camilla was in there also. I think she's Lady Scorpion later on in the comics.
Mhm.
There's a lot of characters that were somebody. I was mentioning to you before the show. I was racking my brain over Roxana Volkov, the fourth person in the van, because they have a van full of Russian characters. You know, like one's chameleon, one's rhino, one's unicorn, and I'm like, who the hell is this fourth one? I'm like, am I that rusty that I don't know who this is? And I looked it up, and it's like, apparently she's nobody,
Filler.
which is really weird, right? Because like everybody's somebody in this damn show, and so
You gotta keep it on your toes.
now I'm more curious about this character than anybody else on the show, because I'm like, what are you gonna die? Are you gonna turn into like the Beyonder? What are you? You know, like just anything. So, but yeah, no, I still am enjoying the show a lot, and I like that we finally got a Harry is the dude at the desk.
Mhm.
It does weird me out. I'm like, so like, does Ned just not exist? Like, where's
Well, the
MJ?
same
You
way
know,
like Harry doesn't exist in the
well,
MCU.
no, but I think Peter's still going to the same school, right?
What do you mean?
He's still going to the school that he goes to in the
The
movies.
show?
Yeah,
In the show or the movies?
in the both. Like, isn't he going to the same school?
No. The school he was going to go to got destroyed by Doctor Strange in the show.
Oh, okay.
That's
The
why
whole
they're all displaced at like
this
different.
okay. The school got destroyed. I thought just a portion of the school got. I didn't realize. I might
Mhm.
have missed that part. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Now I'm okay with not saying, because it's not that I never believed that it's not that Harry and Norman don't exist. It's just they haven't met yet. Do you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I was confused why
Why can't
Ned.
the inverse happen in
No,
the
I
cartoon?
well, because I thought they were still at the same school, and I'm like, why
Oh.
would Ned was clearly has been a friend of Peter's for a while. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so, but if they're not at the same school, I could see how you wouldn't run in the same social circles as much. So, and I can understand why MJ's not there right now. That's fine. You helped me get over that bridge just now. I appreciate that. But yeah, I like the Norman and I like the Harry thing. I think that the juxtaposition's awesome, right? Because we have grown to love Ned as the guy in the chair, right? Because like it's like your best friend helping you through all these battles, and he's very proud of himself for all these things. Like even in like No Way Home, when they get arrested, right? Like the cop, it takes like no work to get Ned to squeal, because like Ned is like really proud. He's like, well, actually, no, I helped him. I knew he was Spider-Man before anybody. You know, like he can't help himself. Like he's so proud of it. Whereas like Harry, the apathy is real, man. It's awesome. Like he's just like, so I guess this is the thing I'm doing. I was like really bored. I was just waiting. You know, like it's funny. It's yeah, it's a cool thing to have like somebody who you barely know be in charge of your safety and your well-being. Like it's a like it'll be cool if when they become best friends, but like it's a weird thing to have them be the dude at your desk before they're your best friend. So it's kind of cool. um but yeah, other than that, like Lonnie becomes a Tombstone like person so far. I mean, not fully yet. We meet Otto Octavius. I kind of figured that out a little early. Like when I saw the infinity symbols, I was like, those are
Two
O's.
O's?
Those are two O's. Yeah. So like it's cool. It's cool to know that Otto is existing in this world. Presumably he might even be using, salvage alien tech from the Avengers incident as well, which they reference in the show too, right? Like
Mhm.
that happened. The aliens already invaded
New York.
New York and stuff. So who knows? But like Otto is using he's using the black market to fund his ambitions, right? Which is to become a recognized scientist. So it's cool. It tracks. It's very kind of reminds me of Alfred Molina, where it's like he gets these crazy like you know like octopus tentacles, and the first thing he's like, I got to go rob banks, and it's like, whoa, dude! Like you're. I feel like
They're being a. I do think the show is efficient, and to your point, like where everyone is somebody.
Yeah.
The cool part is like you're never wasting time. Like, 1 minute you're developing like Rhino's story or Chameleon's arc, and then you're developing Otto's arc, and then next you're going to Harry's and Harry's arc. Like everything is pulling weight in a cool way to get us like we're getting up. They're getting us up to speed on a proper Spider-Man.
And
universe.
they're also getting a Peter who's actually going around taking pictures with his camera, right? Because they're like, this is a part of Spider-Man's lore. We kind of ignored that in the movies,
talk about Uncle Ben like more than more than the movie. Like
exactly. Yeah, they're not shying away from some of the things that we expected in the movies, right? So yeah, I still like the show a lot. I just wish there was a little bit more bite in these 3 episodes, but yeah, I'm not bitter. I'm enjoying it. Are you ready for the other thing, or you got more to say?
I'm ready for the other thing.
By the way, the next episode is like the Devil's Due, I think. So Daredevil's showing up next week. Just saying.
Could be Mephisto.
Duel with the Devil is what it is. That would be really early for Mephisto. But yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about this.
Thor, the fourth entry into the MCU, directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Written by J. Michael Straczynski, by the way.
It sounds familiar.
He is my favorite comic book writer. He wrote a long arc in Amazing Spider-Man. He's also famous for writing Rising Stars for Top Cow and Image. He's written Superman Earth 1 for DC. He's done a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool comics throughout the years. Really good run on Fantastic Four. Yeah, he's a really cool. He also is the creator of Babylon 5. Sorry, I probably should have led with that because a lot of people know him from that too. Babylon 5's an acquired taste. I'll say that. Like, don't go trying to watch Babylon 5 because you're curious to know more about this guy. It doesn't age well, like special effects wise. It's pretty Windows 95 like kind of special effects. Anyways, JMS wrote this. I don't think it's his greatest work. He also wrote Changeling with Angelina Jolie.
This movie stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Natalie Portman, Jane Foster, and Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and Anthony Hopkins as Odin. This to me was like
Heimdall. Don't forget Heimdall.
Idris Elba as Heimdall.
Yeah. What about Volstagg? Don't forget Volstagg.
If we're not naming fucking everybody, then you got to name Zachary Levi. Well, he's not in this one technically, but
he's not in this one. But Volstagg is the Punisher, dude.
Whatever. This was pretty like weirdly left field, I think, at the time. That's safe to say. Like, 'cause you have these very, I say grounded, but you have Iron Man 2 and the Hulk. And then the MC's like, we're gonna go to fucking space and we're gonna do a Thor movie. And it's connected to these movies.
Yeah. You know what? I think the only reason it feels way left field is because the Hulk was such a part of the zeitgeist already, right? But like, honestly,
no one was asking for a Thor movie.
But I'm saying, yeah, the Hulk is pretty out there juxtaposed with Spider-Man, right? Or I mean, Iron Man. Like Iron Man, they went great lengths to show us the science behind Iron Man. Hulk, you just got to accept that.
I would still argue, though, by the time the Hulk came out, the Hulk IP is still stronger. Iron Man.
It was stronger. Yes. I'm not denying that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why Thor feels like left field, only because I'm saying from somebody, like, I'm putting it in context of like somebody who's never heard of any of these things. I don't think Thor is as left field as or is more left field than any of the three. You know what I mean? But like from people who understand these comics, the world that they gave us in Thor, it goes big. It goes big and
Yeah.
crazy.
The movie
And
pulls
there's
a lot of weight in terms of world building in the MCU.
yeah, they're space aliens. I mean, they're space gods, right? That's literally what they are. And so we're
Yep.
watching a movie about space gods who happen to be misconstrued by the Norwegian people, like, you know, thousands of years ago. And it's like, okay, so they're
Science
real.
is just magic you don't understand. Or
Hey,
magic's
that's
just science you don't understand. That
that's
line did so much work.
but that's an Arthur C. Clarke quote, and I think that's a really cool thing that they did, because do you know the story of Arthur C. Clarke and Apollo 13?
No.
2001. It's one of my favorite books ever. It was written in the 1960s, and there is uh, a moment in the movie or I mean in the book where I guess it's in the movie too. The ship doesn't have enough fuel to make a trip back, so they use the gravitational pull of a moon or a planet or something like that to slingshot it back. And that was completely science fiction when he wrote that. And then way later, you know, years later, when the crew of the Apollo 13 was stranded out there in space, they decided to. They were running out of options, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's try this thing from the book." You know what I mean? Let's use the gravitational pull of the moon to help these guys get home, and it worked. And so in that moment, science fiction became science. You know what I mean? And so I think that is a really important line to deliver in this, because like if you're willing to accept that that thing really did happen at a point in our history, then you know, let yourself let the hangups go away. Maybe there are space gods out there, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it does a lot of heavy lifting for sure. And that's kind of a weird pun in a Thor movie, considering Mjolnir. But yeah, it does a lot of work, and you don't necessarily have to swallow it all. But like, I gotta say, the movie was a lot more fun for me this time around because I see where the journey goes. You know what I mean?
You kind of get early. I mean, there's kind of like a MCU comedy, right? Standard. I feel like you see in a lot of movies, and I
Yes.
feel like it kind of stems because Iron Man's always his own thing, but it really stems from this movie tonally. Like some of the jokes they set up, or some of the way the dialogue's delivered. It
Yeah, they're trying to establish a tone, right? For
like
for their universe.
for better or for worse, what are we like 30 something movies in? Some are more cookie cutter than others, but I feel like this was the first cookie cutter or cookie cut from the cutter.
Which is really interesting because it took broad swings, right? It really
Mhm.
it did deliver us a lot, and I think that's why it had to
It
establish the
got us
template.
it got us to a good, like, again, we talk about like big things in this movie is where do they end? At
This
the end of the
movie
movie, what do we get out of the end of the movie?
this movie paves the way for Guardians, right? Like
Yeah,
this is
we get
establishing
space,
cosmic marvel, right?
aliens, we get uh a worthy Thor, we get a Loki,
You get Hawkeye.
Hawkeye,
That's not space, but I'm just saying,
but
like
I
it's
mean,
a lot. There's a lot going on in this movie, and yeah, I actually really liked it a lot more. Like the plot is pretty.
I mean, you got
It's pretty
We got
simple.
Jane Foster still out there kicking, and I mean, look, that paid off. Like,
I mean, some would argue it didn't, but yeah,
mm,
I like Love and Thunder a lot.
you
I
know,
really do.
Dr. Selvig is kind of a big part of. He's part of Avengers, and then he's part of the subsequent Thor movies. Like
Yeah,
we got
Doctor
Darcy, your
Exposition.
favorite.
You know, she's actually really not annoying in this movie. I forgot that this is the only time where I wasn't annoyed with her. She has a pretty minimal part in the movie, and Meow Meow thing is pretty cute and funny. Um, yeah, nobody really annoys me in this movie, and I think back when I watched this back in the day in 2011, I think it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because
it's not as good as Iron Man.
The
Like
costumes are so out there. The yeah, and the story being told doesn't pull me in because
Mhm.
because Thor isn't really that charming yet, right? He's not.
Yeah.
He's missing something to really make, and the way they styled his hair and the beard is not, it's not working for me.
Well, he's full as written by Stan Lee, right? They're all Shakespearean in their like speech and dialogue.
Well, I think that's definitely why they hired Kenneth Branagh, because like he's famous for doing all the Shakespeare adaptations, and so they're like, we
Yeah.
want it to be a Shakespearean feeling movie.
But
I just don't think that was what this needed, right? Like it
no,
needed,
it's I mean ultimately the Thor now is very different, right? It's a very different
right?
character almost. But it works like in a weird way of like whether they planned it or I'm assuming it wasn't planned, but like he now has growth, right? Because an easy way to like Thor outlives everyone.
He's a whiny baby in this movie.
Yeah.
I think that makes it harder for him to charm us too, right? Is because
Mm-hmm.
his character arc is, oh look, he's shitty and he has to be punished for being shitty, right? Like Iron Man's arc is he's shitty at the beginning of the movie and then immediately wants to spend the rest of the movie atoning for his shittiness. Like Thor doesn't even know that he wants to atone for for this thing that he's his unworthiness, right?
He bitches for like the first 2 acts of that movie.
Yeah, right. And so I think it's, it's a valid style of storytelling for sure. Like it's one of the many different ones. It's the rise then fall then rise. He definitely goes through that. It's just it just was missing the magnetism that Iron Man has to
Mm-hmm.
carry us through the rough parts of the story, right? And I think Loki was awesome. I think he was really great at making us relate. Like I actually felt kind of bad for Loki, right? You're watching him find out that he's been lied to his whole life, right? Like about who he is and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't help but be a little bitter about that. I don't think fratricide is necessarily the best solution, but whatever. It's
And
fine.
we got,
It's
we
very
got
Shakespearean, like you said.
back to like the world building. We saw an Infinity Gauntlet, right? We saw some cool shit in Odin's vault.
You get the Cask of Winters. We'd later find out that's a duplicate of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the actual one, but yeah.
You start seeing like the wheel spinning with Nick Fury as well. Like I think one of my favorite bits in that movie is like
He's
when
got lots of projects, right? Yeah.
when Thor's trying to pull the hammer out from the site and Hawkeye's gonna take him down. Fury's like, wait, I want to see something real quick. Like let him do it real quick. Like you already the sense that Fury's like already attuned to what he might be at that point. And it's like and willing to take that calculated risk.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that like after 4 movies, like Nick Fury's in 3 of them. You know what I mean? Like that's like they're definitely using him to establish a greater universe, and he's the glue that pulls it all together for sure.
It kept the ball rolling because at a time like up until Avengers, right? This shit could have fell apart at any moment.
It could have, yeah.
And I think even towing like a character like Nick Fury through, I guess at that point 3 movies, that was unprecedented at that time.
It
And
was.
granted, the Avengers was starting to be a known quantity at this point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We already knew that it was coming the following year. We knew that.
To kind of start seeing it happen, like, oh, Nick Fury's in this one too. That's cool. I like that. Like,
but I think that's kind of why I had a chip on my shoulder about Thor, is because I felt like that movie only existed to set up the Avengers. You know what I mean?
I feel that way about Iron Man too.
And I couldn't see past that back then. Now I can see. I'm like, you know what? They did do a pretty good job of establishing a world that we dive back into multiple times, right? We'll go back there several times. They're not always great visits back to that world, but I applaud that they built this, they built out the universe. They established the 9 realms, like there's so much more that we're gonna see at some point in the future. And that's kind of like the same thing I say about like when I see the suitcase armor in Iron Man 2. It's like, remember that this is an issue of a comic book series, right? Like and I think it makes it easier to like to enjoy all of these movies, because it's like this is a chapter in a bigger story, and hindsight's 2020, and it makes it a lot easier to enjoy Thor.
To that point, yeah, it's not really even like a Thor origin story per se.
Yeah, it's an Avengers.
Like,
it's an Avengers chapter that we need to get to, right?
Prelude to Avengers.
Yeah, exactly, and it makes it
basically
more funny,
why
right?
Thor knows what Earth is.
Yeah,
like why Thor can, and that's all it needed to be. And at the time, I think people needed a good Thor movie, or maybe wanted a good Thor. People wanted a great Thor movie at that time, when in reality, we just needed a good MCU Thor movie.
We just
those are different things.
We needed a good enough Thor.
Yeah,
we
need to get there.
They could play with the other toys. That's all we needed, and so I think we'll get great Thor movies later, as we continue to do these, revisit all these movies and stuff. I think it's just we were so spoiled by Iron Man and the Dark Knight that we're just like, are they always going to be this amazing now? You know what I mean? And like they can't always be that
Thor
amazing.
was kind of like the vegetables of the Avengers plate that we the Avengers dessert that was waiting at the end of that meal.
You know what's really funny, and I'm very excited to talk about it, but like I used to feel that way about Captain America. I felt like that movie was the most.
I love that movie.
I like that movie so much more now, but like when I watched it back in the day, I was like, can we get to the next one? Can we get to the one after this? Because like I just sat through Thor. I'm tired of this. Let's just get to the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to rush. I wanted to skip to the dessert. But in hindsight, like Captain America 1 is a pretty damn good movie with some exceptions. And I think Thor is a pretty solid movie with
it's good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's just like I said, the only problem with it is sometimes those movies where the protagonist is a whiny piece of shit for like a half of the movie, it's hard. There's a lot of movies out there like that. I mean, Luke Skywalker sucks for the first part of Star Wars. I'm just as a reminder. Anakin Skywalker sucks real hard for several movies. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't mean that like the movie's bad. It just means that like it takes a longer amount of time to develop that, and it takes a really skilled group of storytellers to execute on that. And I just think they missed the mark a little bit on this one for that. I think everybody else is great. I think Jane Foster is awesome. I think Loki's great. I like Heimdall. Even the Warriors 3 are kind of cool. Like the Destroyer is again, we're raising the stakes slightly each time, right? We're like, hey, the Destroyer's not trying to come and destroy the world. He's just gonna wreck a stupid little town in New Mexico.
He looks like a good destroyer.
He's comic accurate as F, right? Like he is. He is probably at that moment in time. It's a toss up between him and Iron Man, right? Like it's like, okay, we got some serious comic accuracy. That said, Thor is pretty damn comic accurate in this movie. Just slightly muted on the blues, and definitely no like leopard boots or whatever.
I will say this is the only movie where he wears the fucking helmet, so
it's not the only movie where he wears the helmet. Thor Ragnarok, he wears the helmet.
It's not his helmet though.
He has multiple helmets. I'm just saying. Is it the helmet that Vincent D'Onofrio wore in Adventures of Babysitting? No, it's not. But I'm saying he does wear a helmet again in another movie. So, but I get you. He wears the dumb helmet, right? Like he wears the one that I'm kind of happy he never wears again for the rest of the MCU. Like I'm glad you liked it, and I'm glad that we got to see it. There is a flashback isn't there a flashback in another movie where they're younger, they're like teenagers, and he wears the full on costume.
I think you're thinking of Loki.
Yeah, you're right. Thor wears the helmet in that too.
Yeah,
you're right. It is Loki. I think you're right. Yeah, but anyways, it's a good movie. I think there's not much to spoil here. Thor gets his hammer at the end, and Loki gets cast out. He says some awesome lines, or like, "I did it for all of us," or "for us all," or whatever, and those lines will pay off decade later in Loki and stuff like that. Like, it's cute. But yeah, there's not a crazy story being told here, other than the fact that space Jesus exists, and and the Norse people wrote books about it. Like, that's okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Are you like, where would you rate this one in like, of the 4 that we've watched so far in the original? Like, is this better than the Hulk?
No, it's probably the worst one. I think it's the worst one up to Avengers, for sure.
I think I like this one better than the Hulk now.
Oh, I like the Hulk. I like the Hulk more as a character, but I don't think being the worst of something doesn't mean it's bad. Like,
yeah,
again, like, the beauty of the MCU has been there's been better movies than some, but it's consistent, right?
Yeah, it's consistent at least C+. It's always at least at a C+, right?
That we got to see, like, okay, this is the floor up until this point, right?
That, or the Hulk. Yeah,
we're getting, we're stabilizing in terms of like what these movies are.
Okay.
Had one of those failed, again, failing grade, D or below.
Yeah, this one was a box office success, just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
It did do well. It made a lot of money. It just wasn't, Iron Man crazy or anything like that. So they were happy. 49 million worldwide.
I'm more excited for Captain America. I'll say that.
I am too.
Actually, you might have to, if we watch that next week, it'll time it perfectly.
I actually wouldn't mind watching that next week, and then do the other Captain America the following week, because I think
we could just punt next week and talk about both.
No, let's do the original Captain America, because I think our fans, or anybody watching, is gonna want to have like our take on that one as they go see the new one, right? I know I'm gonna get roasted for that one in the comments.
Okay, well, we'll figure out the timing, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that gives, because it's not often that we like to go and like spoil the movie the day it comes out or whatever. So like, we did that with Craven, and that backfired because you weren't even available to watch Craven, right? Like, have you even seen Craven yet?
What are you talking about? I saw it the day it came out.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Venom: The Last Dance. That's the one. Yeah. Sorry, Venom. You never even saw Venom. Yeah. So I don't mind if we push the discussion of Captain America.
Well, we'll figure it out, ladies and gentlemen, and the consistent thing is we'll be back next week with something for you guys.
We're at least talking about Harley Quinn. That's for sure.
We're talking about Captain America next week in some way or in another.
That's true. All right. We're out of here.
We're out of here.
You know what? Hit that like button.
Like and subscribe.
Only if you like it.
With that, true believers.